Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. If Michael Jordan's Bulls and Hakeem Olajuwon Rockets met in the finals, who would win? Who would win? Now, we all heard and people saying in 95 that they don't think Michael Jordan Bulls would have beat the Rockets. And we all heard the case that they didn't have Horace Grant, so they didn't have a great rebounder. And they lost to the Magic, I think, 4-2? And Michael Jordan was just coming back, and it wasn't the same Michael Jordan. But if they would have made it to the finals, who knows if they would have won? No, nobody really knows. It's just a guess. But we can say they probably would not have got swept, right? They wouldn't have got swept. I don't think Michael Jordan would have got swept. They don't. No damn way. So that's just a what if. So we can also do the same. What if Michael Jordan never retired? And they ran into the Rockets in 94 and 95. Well, we got to say if Michael Jordan never retired, not only is Michael Jordan at the peak of his powers, and it's the same Michael Jordan, he's in his prime. He just came off of 41 points per game in the finals. And Scottie Pippen is in his prime. And Horace Grant is still there. And Horace Grant is in his prime, right? So who wins? Well, we already know that if Horace Grant is on the Bulls, he's not with the Magic. So the Magic do not have Horace Grant. And they probably get swept, the Magic, if they make it out of the second round. And Shaq, he just continues to lose. He doesn't go to the finals in the 90s. And this so-called dominant, great player of all time is getting rolled up in the 90s. He did anyways, right? He went to the Lakers and still got rolled up in the 90s with the up-and-coming Kobe Bryant, Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, and guys like this. I think they was beat 4-1 and 4-2. No, 4-0. 2 years in a row by the Plumber Crew, Utah. I just want the LeBron fans to explain that. How did Shaq get a gentleman swept, and get swept by the same Plumber Crew that Jordan played in back-to-back finals? We're not saying he had a win, but he got gentleman swept in back-to-back series. And Hakeem and Barkley and Clyde Drexler got dealt with. But let's go back. In 94, when they played the Knicks took Houston to 7 games. Now, I'm not trying to talk bad about the Knicks, but the Bulls had no problem beating the Knicks. And some of those games don't even go to game 7s in the early 90s. So the Bulls were always in the finals against the Knicks. And the Rockets kind of struggle with the Knicks. Remember, it was an expansion era. Those teams sucked, especially in the East, they say. Well, they all went to the finals when Michael Jordan retired. And all the great big men went to the finals when Michael Jordan retired from the East. Or they won championships in the West, the big men, when Michael Jordan retired. Oh, Michael Jordan stopping the greatest era of big men from winning by not being there. Wow. But it was an expansion era. So when we look at these teams, the 94 Houston Rockets against the 94 Bulls in the finals, I just don't think the Rockets win. The big three that the Bulls have, Jordan, Pippen, and Horace Grant, versus the big three that Houston has, Hakeem Olajuwon, I think it was Ori. What's this other guy's name? Always gets me. He was a power forward. Well, the trio of the Bulls were just better than the trio of the Houston Rockets. And the Houston Rockets, we can say both years in 94 and 95, struggled to get a top seed in the West. Yes, they did some incredible stuff to get through the West, but in that 94, the Bulls defensively, they were just a better team. And I think Houston would have problems. I think Hakeem would get his and put on an all-time great performance, but offensive, offensively and defensively, I don't think Houston would have anything for the Bulls, who were at the peak of their powers. They just wouldn't. Now in '95, Clyde Drexler comes along, and it's a different team. In the '94 finals, I think the Bulls will win that like 4-2. Michael Jordan, he doesn't go to game sevens. We all know this. And in '95, with Clyde Drexler, I think he's a little bit older, right? A little bit over the hill. Um, if he even comes. Because that was the thing. He saw Hakeem, his buddy, winning championships. Well, just won a championship, so he wanted to come over and get a piece of that. But with that said, Clyde Drexler is still kind of, over the hill in '95. So I think Michael Jordan outdoes Clyde Drexler. Um, Hakeem is going to get his. It's going to be the same old, same old. I think the Bulls win in 6 games. And that will be 5 championships in a row. Now, Houston, I think they had a better overall shooting team. But you got to remember, they were going against Orlando. Orlando really wasn't a good defensive team. And with the championship and the finals experience that the Bulls had, and the mindset that Michael Jordan had of not losing in the finals, I don't think Houston will win this. I just don't think so. So you guys tell me what you think. I think that's a better scenario than Michael Jordan coming back in '95 and them saying the Bulls, oh, they won't win. Nobody knows. So just like that scenario, we can bring up if Michael Jordan never retires. Nobody gets a chance to win. Well, I wouldn't say a chance, but nobody wins a championship. I just want people to explain to me, how come for LeBron James, why doesn't he retire and give other players a chance to win a championship? Oh, they've been winning championships, whether he's in the league or not. He doesn't stop anybody from winning the championship. He doesn't. Even with super teams, he doesn't stop anybody. Yeah, he ran over the East with top 5 players of the East for a minute. I just don't count that. And I always had this scenario, like if he went to Miami, because he's so obsessed with Michael Jordan, I always, think that, with the powder toss, remaking of the movies, wearing the number 23, I'm back when he went back to Cleveland. You got to think, if he went to Miami and he found a way to rail off 3 straight championships, and him being obsessed with Michael Jordan, he would have tried the same thing, right? He would have retired. I ain't got nothing else to play for, and blah blah blah. He would have made up something to try to be like Michael Jordan, and then would have came back in like a year or 2 years later and try to win championships. I'm being serious. That's what he would have did, because he's obsessed. But I do like that scenario that they say, oh man, they always use this disadvantage to Michael Jordan, right? That he would not have beat the Rockets in '95. Okay, Maybe not. But how come other players don't do it too? Right? When they're at a disadvantage or at the same advantage, right? How come Curry didn't beat Kawhi Leonard when he was playing Toronto? When Clay went down, when Kevin Durant went down, it was fair. Clay against Kawhi. How come Curry couldn't get it done? Why didn't he get it done? Wasn't it a fair advantage? Dirk, well, it wasn't fair, but LeBron has some type of advantage. Couldn't beat Dirk. Couldn't beat a plumber. How about 2023 and 24 against a plumber? LeBron has AD, top 75 player, top defensive player in the league. Couldn't beat one plumber in both seasons. That there, right there in 23 and 24 on the Lakers team with two top 75 players, right? Two All-Star players, two All-NBA player, and the one All-NBA defensive player against one plumber who has no All-Star teammate, no Hall of Fame teammate, no top 75 teammate, no All-NBA teammate, no defensive teammate. Just one plumber was able to beat these two guys on the Lakers. That doesn't that disqualify his longevity case? Amongst other things. But I'm just saying, just that. You get a gentleman sweep, get gentleman swept, and you get swept. With help. You should have retired after that. So what does that tell? It tells you that he's not there to win. He's there to collect money and put on a show in front of these new fans who aren't really NBA fans. They're not seeking winning, competition, competitiveness, rivalries, positional players with positional skills. These fans aren't seeking that. They're seeking just entertainment in a show. And then they'll turn around and try to debate with you about basketball and about the history of basketball. So he's not there to win. He's there for other purposes. There to get Bronny into the league and make it a circus. You know, we talked about this. LeBron James being the biggest hype of all time coming into the NBA. More than Magic, more than Jordan, more than Kareem, more than Wilt, more than all these players. Bird, the biggest hype. Playing academy school plumbers. He won in college playing the best of high school players from around the nation. Right? And then getting drafted into the NBA and say, man, that guy, woof. Man, them expectations and, you know, that hype is validated. He was better in college than the best high schoolers that was playing in college. Nope, he was playing in-state academy school kids doing dunks and layups. That's the hype? What? That's the era you're going into? And it exposes that 2000s era. How somebody can be that hyped playing nobody coming into the NBA. So if you got that much hype over Bird, Magic, Jordan, Kareem, Wilt, all these guys, we expect you when you come in your first season to do more than what they did in their rookie season or match it. It never happened. Won the All-Star, missed the playoffs, shot 41% from the field, bricked it up from the line, bricked it up from three. And then you can also say his son, Bronny, is the biggest hype coming into the NBA since him. And this guy has no real professional basketball skills. He didn't dominate the best of high school players in college. He wasn't a great college player. He was a damn bench player that got to start. So he got more hype than any college player coming into the NBA off of nothing. And got talked about more than the Boston Celtics that just won the championship. So you can say LeBron and his son got all this hype for no damn reason. Media hype. That's it. Trying to sell a league off of entertainment instead of actual on-court basketball skills. That's it. A circus. That's what the NBA became. A circus. According to the ratings, nobody's watching it. That's what the NBA started to see, especially in the mid 2000s. And the ratings just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Because the people aren't dumb. They saw these guys weren't competitive. These guys were building super teams. It wasn't no rivalries. There wasn't guys with positional skills. The star players of today are one-way players with no defense on them. All your good players today don't even make defensive teams. Your Bookers, your Durants, your Kyries, your Lucas, your Jokers, even your LeBrons, your Tatums, your Anthony Edwards. These guys are just allowed to prance around and play on one side of the ball. And even a Curry. At least Curry has 2 steals titles. So when you look at Magic Johnson, you be like, well, man, Magic got two steals titles. And even though I'm not trying to say you got to make a defensive team to be a good defender, you just got to get the effort. And when the NBA cuts out defense, which was the number one thing in the NBA for a long time, which means nobody was scoring just freely, effortlessly. Nobody was doing that. They was giving the effort. You wasn't just walking down the lane and getting a dunk, a layup, or shooting a three and doing all this stuff freely. No guy was 3 feet off their guy, just letting them drive down the damn lane. There wasn't 4 guys spread out at the 3-point line and 1 guy in the middle getting 20 rebounds, getting 15 rebounds, getting 12 rebounds. He would have to battle for all those rebounds. What about assists? It wasn't no open lane. Guys had to earn their assist. And that's why Bronny is in the league. Not only because he didn't have to earn anything, because he can play basketball in this league without even earning a rebound, an assist, a point, any of these things. Take away defense out of the league because these guys just aren't good as past players. And they seen this in the 2000s. When they got curb stomped by international plumbers in the Olympics, and then they got curb stomped by international plumbers in a FIBA. And in 2008, they barely beat these Spain plumbers. Barely. Because they don't put defense as a first priority. And what it tells me is if they have to be great two-way players or be good defensive players, they don't have it in them. They don't have the energy. They don't have the juice to be great offensive players or good offensive players. They don't have it. It takes a lot for you to play offense and then come down and play defense, or play defense and then come down and play offense. It takes a lot out of your body. So let's spread the floor out. That way, nobody's really playing hardcore defense. Nobody's bumping and grinding. There's not much resistance when you go to the basket. You don't have to keep moving when you're playing four guys at the three-point line. Guys are just standing around, just waiting. You're not trapping. You're not trapping. If I could tell you how many times I watch 80s and 90s basketball all the time, and the dude is getting grilled coming up the court and then getting trapped. It's too many times. This is real effort. This is real stamina that these guys are playing all game. You from your position, from the perimeter to the paint and everything. Once that ball goes up and that guy maybe gets the rebound, you got to run from that side of the court where you are in the paint all the way back to the other side of the court. That's what they did in the 80s and 90s at full throttle all game. Today, they're all sitting at the three-point line. So when that shot goes up, they just run back from the three-point line to the other side. They don't have it in them. 80s and 90s players would destroy this era, the type of stamina that they had. They didn't get the low manage. They didn't get the flop. They didn't get to, go watch some of these games, especially in the 80s. I want you to argue with that ref. You're going to get teed up real quick. I saw, who was that? I think it was Orlando Woolridge. He just smacked the floor, teed up. You ain't going to get to say too much back then. You might make a face and say, oh, man, that's crazy. But you ain't going to sit there and say cuss words and moan and groan and scream, and you're going to get teed up because at halftime they ain't even say nothing because they know they're going to get teed up. You know, instant replay. Let's go back and look at the monitor, see what happened. The referee's word was bond. What he said was the gospel. We're not going back and look. Give a hard foul. So all you get is a foul. Every hard foul today, or what looks to be a hard foul, oh man, he should not have did that. That's a tech, that's a flagrant. Whole bunch of crybabies. Men that don't come to work. Come to work with dresses on, purses. Taunting the opponent every time they score. What is that? You just never see that in the 80s and 90s. I'm watching all these games, these incredible shots that these guys are making, and they're not getting up and taunting the opponent and doing all this stuff. Yeah, if they maybe hit a shot to win the game or tie the game at the end, maybe they might be doing something like that. But they didn't taunt the opponent. They might be like, yes, 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 and stuff like that. But every play, these guys do this today. I'll tell you, these guys aren't real professional basketball players. This is the first quarter, and you're going off and going crazy, doing backflips like you done hit the game-winning shot. What is that all about? And then you have the rest of the game, you have a bad game. I'll tell you, these guys are entertainers. A sport is entertainment, but I'm just saying, these aren't real professional basketball players. Taunting your opponent every time you score? You're a professional. You're supposed to score. And then doing it while you're traveling and carrying? What is that? Watching games back then, the dudes palm the ball, travel, carry. They blowing the whistle. They are blowing the whistle. Because guess what? Everybody knew what basketball was back then. The crowd would be screaming, carry, travel, all this stuff. The benches would. So you don't want to be deemed as an official who don't know the game, don't know your job, but you see it today. The crowd is screaming, carry and travel and palming and everything else, and the referee is acting like it never happened. So you're not doing your job that you're obligated to do, that you get paid for as a professional referee. For years, they've been letting this stuff get away, letting these players get away with it. And Adam Silver says, nothing? What is that? What is that? And you're paying these guys record-breaking contracts? So you're allowed to go to your job every day and do the job wrong. And your boss says nothing about it. And keeps giving you raises and raises and all these type of big raises by not doing the job the right way. Nope. You're going to get fired. And the rest of the people that work with you, they're going to be calling it out. He ain't doing the job right. Why does he keep getting raises? Why do he keep getting pat on the back? Why do we keep being told that he's a great worker and one of the greatest workers that ever worked here? Why do we keep hearing that? They don't want to blow these whistles because they don't want to expose how awful these guys really are at their job. Because if they expose that, they got to figure out, why are we charging these fans all this money to see guys who can't even play basketball, who we are telling you that are more athletic, more skilled, and the best players that we ever seen. They won't be able to justify that. So what they do is they don't blow the whistle, they don't say nothing, and they get the media to cover it up, right? They get the media to lie straight to your face. It's not what you actually see with your own eyes. That's what the media is telling you. Listen to us. We're on TV. We get paid this big money. This is what these guys are. What you see is you're delusional. You're not seeing that. Listen to us. And then these guys on TV that's lying, they get paid all this money to lie. And that's what makes the NBA today the worst professional sports league of all leagues. It is. You don't see this in hockey. You don't see this in soccer. You don't see this in football. You don't see this in baseball. You only see it in the NBA, where these guys aren't doing their jobs the right way and the refs don't call nothing. It just doesn't even seem real. Tell me what you think.